If you had a speech prepared, did you have a speech? Have you got a speech prepared?
I had a speech prepared for the venue, and then I prepared another one for Speaker's Corner, and actually I rewrote it in my prison cell. And the thing is, I even have it
Have you got that speech?
Yeah. And the thing is,
if I take this speech, this is the backfiring from the government and the police and what they're attempting to do. Speaker's Corner has a 300-year history from some of the most controversial figures, from Karl Marx to George Orwell.
Vladimir Lenin.
But yeah, everyone is allowed to speak there. It's part of our country's history. And the fact that they're trying to stop it, and the fact that we see Islamic preachers coming in, week in, every week, then I'll deliver this speech on your behalf. I'll read this speech out. So the government haven't won, because I can't sit there and think that you're letting them win. If they stop you giving the speech, then they win. Mm. So at 3 o'clock on Sunday, I'll ask anyone who values freedom of speech, whether it be in Britain or in Europe, come along and support free speech in Sunday at Speaker's Corner.
I'm now going to read, whether how many people hear it or not. I'm going to forget everything that's going on now, and I'm going to read Martin Selner's speech. The speech that our government wanted to stop. I assume you are all lovers of free speech because you have come to Speaker's Corner.
You might not understand all the fuss happening today around this speech. Honestly, I don't understand it either. My name is Martin Selner. I am an Austrian patriot, and at the moment, I'm sitting in a detention cell in Colnbrook Bypass near Heathrow. My smartphone was taken, and my girlfriend Brittany was separated from me. I currently don't know where she is. We will be deported on Sunday. 5 minutes ago, they unlocked our cells, and my fellow inmates are gathering in the prison wing. They are mostly illegals and Eastern European criminals. What brought me into this situation? What was my crime? My crime was that I wanted to be here with you, to speak at Speaker's Corner. But let's start with the beginning. I was invited by UKIP to present my movement at an event last autumn. I represent Generation Identity, a patriotic youth movement that is raising awareness for mass immigration and Islamisation. Far left people call us right wing. People who want to shut free speech down call us fascist. And folks who hate their own culture call us racist. In reality, we are just a group of young patriots fed up with the system, the mainstream press and the lying politicians. We use peaceful activism to make our voices heard. And contrary to our friends on the radical left, who are probably swarming you right now, we never wear masks. From Paris to Rome, from Vienna to London, we fight peacefully but without compromise for our freedom, our homelands and our identity. This is what I wanted to speak about in autumn, but the conference was cancelled due to threats from the radical left. The venue will not take the risk, so they rescheduled it for March, this time keeping the venue secret. But again, the terror of the left prevailed and the venue dropped out. But this time, I did not want to let them win. It was about principles. And also our flights were already booked. My last refuge was Speaker's Corner. I remembered my mother telling me about that special place when I was a child. It seemed almost magical to me. A place where everyone, without admission, could just stand on a box and start to speak to those who wanted to listen. I have always loved this tradition of Speaker's Corner, which seemed very British to me. But I have come only to see that this tradition, the tradition of freedom of speech in the UK, is dead. I should be speaking in a neat, warm conference room right now, and you should be sitting in comfortable chairs. Instead, I'm in my cell, and you're on the street in a standoff with the enemies of freedom of speech, and this is very telling. Today there is a war going on for our freedom of speech. This war is being fought on the streets by you. Every man and woman showing her face today, standing shoulder to shoulder, is standing up against a new totalitarianism that has been growing for far too long. You can be proud of yourself. You might not even agree with me on every point. You're simply given a statement that I should have the right to speak my mind freely. I would love to be among you now. They prevented me from doing so. They locked up the speaker. But I know that the speech will find its way through these iron bars. It will find a way to you, and you are going to hear what your government so desperately wants to protect you from. Those words which they consider more harmful to you than rape gangs or terrorists who are let into your country again and again. I'm going to tell you something nobody has told you before. It's the biggest, most obvious secret of our media and our politicians and the power holders. People of the UK, you are being replaced. There has always been immigration in your history. People coming in, assimilating. But what's happening today is very different. You are being replaced by massive Muslim immigration. You see it everywhere, in London, in Manchester, but also already in the little countryside towns. A big replacement is going on. And let me tell you, your politicians have no plan. no vision, and no idea how to deal with the problems that come along. Problems like you have seen in Telford, Rotherham and on Westminster Bridge. All across Europe, there is a shadow hanging over our heads. The French are whispering about it in the metro. The Germans murmuring about it when they feel unwatched. Italians look left and right if nobody is listening, they tell you. I don't feel at home anymore in my street. We are becoming foreigners in our own country. And again I hear, we are not allowed to talk about it. And that's the bizarre drama of the strange death of Europe. We are being replaced, we are being conquered by radical Islam, and we are not even allowed to talk about it. Dear Britons, defenders of free speech, out of my cell in Colnbrook, I want to ask you something. Be honest and raise your hands. Whom of you has ever been in the following situation? You grab a beer after work, or you're visiting your girlfriend's parents for the first time, or you meet other children's parents at school, and suddenly the conversation moves to politics, radical Islam, immigration. Who of you in this very moment was faced with the decision between speaking his mind and facing problems, or complying and staying silent? Raise your hands and be honest. I will not be able to see the results, but one single hand is one too many. This amount of fear should not exist in society. Speech that has social costs and severe consequences is no longer free. It has price, and our government and Antifa are working every day to raise that price. No freedom of speech means no democracy. In front of our very eyes, this country is becoming a tyranny, shutting all debates about immigration down until demographic change solves the issue by replacement. People of the UK, I might be in a cell right now, but you are all in a cell. It's a prison of fear and silence your government and the PC tyranny has locked you in. Since the days of your childhood, I ask you, I command you, break free. Patriots of the UK, come out of the closet. Make your dissent visible by acts of resistance that inspire others. I know for certain that millions in the UK think like me. Those millions should be on the street now. We need a coming out of the silent majority or Britain is lost. We need a free, open and honest debate about immigration, about Islam, about demographic change. So we can sort these problems out together. And I know that the force is still in you. With your Brexit vote, you stunned the world. The will and the life of the British nation is not broken. Initially I asked if freedom of speech is dead in the UK. You, and every one of you who came out today, is a living sign that the traditions of the UK are not dead. You are the lively tradition of your nation, saving its face before history. People of the UK, remember who you are. Remember your glorious past. You are the sons and daughters of knights, of kings, explorers, philosophers and artists. Who is the sovereign in this country? It's you, the people. You, the silent and invisible majority who said no during Brexit. You can say no again. No to Islamisation, no to mass immigration and the great replacement. And yes to your identity, your security, yes to your heritage and the future of your children. All this is impossible without freedom of speech. I know that if these words will find the way to the UK and even Speaker's Corner, it will be victory for our cause. If they did, and if you are hearing them now, I tell you, go further on that winning streak. Don't be afraid because we have an ally. Our ally is unbeatable. Our ally is the truth. Our battle for freedom of speech has just begun, and Speaker's Corner will become a symbolic place in that struggle. When you go home, know I want you to bring the spirit of Speaker's Corner with you. Every single person who raised his hand because he could not relate to the moment of fear, when he will not dare to speak his mind. Promise me, promise yourself this. Next time I will overcome my inner fear. Next time I will speak up.